60 Minutes Rewind.
The Carter style. Is it all that different from other first families? Well, yes and no. The president has appeared on television in a cardigan. Amy does go to a public school. Brother Billy, well, there are those who say that Brother Billy is one brother who does need a keeper. But overall, the Carter White House isn't all that different from other White Houses. We found that out when Mrs. Carter invited us to a state dinner. We'll get to the dinner in a moment. But first, let's begin in a gallery just off the entrance to the east wing of the White House. Everyone talks about who might be the real Rosalynn Carter. They talk about the steel magnolia. And I've got to ask you this question. Where's the magnolia?
Where's the steel? I think that started in the campaign. And once somebody writes that, it just keeps being picked up.
Is it more steel than magnolia or the other way around?
I don't know. I never have felt that I was steely.
So, what do you think the public perception of Rosalynn Carter is?
I don't know. It's probably what people like you say. She's a steel magnolia. But it's not because I am.
Well, I think it's perhaps, I know that both you and your husband are fans of James Dickey, great Southern poet.
Yes.
Let me read you something that James Dickey said about Southern women. They're very loving and very affectionate, but they really think their men are dependent on them. If their man is brilliant, they think he's brilliant because they've helped him be brilliant. Basically, they think their men are weak and could never have gotten anywhere without their help.
I remember reading that.
True?
I don't agree with him 100%. I think the Southern woman, and I don't know, probably all women, feel that they can be a help to the man in their life. But as far as that goes, I think the men feel the same way. Jimmy feels the same way about me. He feels that he helps me. I feel that I can help him, but I don't feel that he's president because I made him president. I don't feel that he's successful because I made him successful.
But
No.
you probably, more than any other person other than himself, made him president, wouldn't you say?
But I never could have made him president just by wanting him to be, if I ever wanted him to be.
What do you mean by that, if I wanted him to be? Were there doubts?
There were doubts sometimes along the way, yes. And it's a awesome responsibility, and that was the only doubt that I had about it. I'd never doubted that he could be a great president. But my doubt was whether I wanted him to have that responsibility.
Billy Carter. Is he becoming an embarrassment to the White House?
I have never had any control over what Billy does, and I think he's having a good time.
Does the president ever, I don't know, put his head in his hands and say, I wish Billy had shut up?
No, you don't know the Carter family. They have always been very independent. They have always done, each one, just exactly what they wanted to do. And, you know, I don't question it. If Billy wants to do that, that's his decision.
There were stories some months ago in the White House that there were some marital problems, your son and daughter-in-law. And there were rumors of divorce and that kind of thing.
I think I would do what any mother would do. I think if my children came and said we're going to get a divorce, I don't think I would want them to. I don't think I would like it, but they're my children. I would love them and try to help them through any situation, no matter what it is.
You wouldn't try and push them one way or the other?
I might try to keep them together.
Let's go back to last summer here at the White House. The president of Venezuela was arriving, and you were briefing Amy.
You walk outside with me and Dad, and Mary's going to be right behind us. And when we go on out to the platform, you can turn and go with Mary to the steps. Mary.
Right here to the steps.
Right here to the steps where everybody stands to watch, okay?
Hi,
No, no.
Un besito.
Hello.
Hello, Angel Davis.
She's
How you
gonna walk
doing?
behind us and we go up and...
Oh, are you? You?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Carter.
Mrs. Carter's day began in the office of Gretchen Poston, her social secretary.
Good morning. Finally finishing the seating that we talked about yesterday.
Oh, good. Did you do the head table like we talked about?
Yes, I haven't completed it, but I'm working on it now. And these changes that we talked about with the people sitting with their spouse, these are the changes that we made on the master, and we'll try to make them in on the cards.
Okay.
And here's the...
I need to look at the list because we've made 3 lists, and I get them confused in my mind.
And
So I
then,
need
of
to
course,
be
the
able
after
to
dinner.
see who comes tonight.
Let me interrupt and ask you a question. In these seating arrangements, are there any do's and don'ts?
When we have people that have never been to the White House, maybe somebody that we met in a campaign somewhere, or people who write in to us and say we'd like to come to a state dinner, we try to have some of those people sometime. And I like to sit them with their husband or with whoever they bring because I think they enjoy it. I know I used to go places with Jimmy, and I enjoyed sharing it with him if he were there with me. So people that come that don't know anybody like that, we try to sit them with their spouse or with whoever they bring as a guest.
How much of the dinner is people coming to dinner at the Carters, and how much of it is a state occasion?
I want them to feel that they're going to the Carters for dinner.
Okay, so let's go to the Carters for dinner, starting where all dinners start.
Look at the food, isn't it beautiful?
Good afternoon, Mrs. Carter.
Henry, how are you? Good.
Fine, fine.
We try to serve American food. Well, we do serve American food and try to keep it simple, but Henry fixes it so beautiful that it really is elegant. Everybody thought we were going to have grits and collard greens every meal, but it's just worked out.
Were you ever tempted?
Well, we have them upstairs with the family. My family likes all different kinds of things.
Before you became the First Lady, were you much of a kitchen person?
Oh, I love to cook. I really enjoy it. 4 years that Jimmy was governor, I didn't get to cook because I had cooks. And Jimmy always said that if I had to cook all the time, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. But when we were in Atlanta, I went to cooking classes for a year, every Tuesday that I got a chance. It was not every Tuesday, but every Tuesday that I got a chance, because I missed cooking so much. And this is just, it's unbelievable to have cooks of this quality that I never have to worry about a meal. It's delicious.
Are you a ballet fan yourself?
I enjoy it. I don't know a lot about it.
Upstairs in the East Room, Cynthia Gregory is rehearsing for that evening's entertainment. The Carters have taken just about every self-improvement course there is, but Mrs. Carter admits that ballet is still a blank spot.
The story will continue after this.
By mid-afternoon, the tables are set in the state dining room. John Ficklin has been the White House maitre d' for more than 30 years. He's seen them come and he's seen them go.
Have things changed drastically in 30, 31 years? This sort of function?
Well, see, the White House is just like everybody else's home. And, you know, there is changes everywhere in 30 years. You know, right after the war, things was very tight in this country. You couldn't buy certain things. But as the years go by, you'll see that where you can buy a little bit more of this and a little bit more of that. I mean, it's the same thing here with this gold. See? President Monroe couldn't buy it all, so when President Truman come along, he bought a few pieces, and President Eisenhower bought a few pieces. So now we have a set of enough gold to serve 120 people.
Do you ever have to shake some of the guests at the end of dinner to see if they've taken one of these away?
Now, you know I'm not going to answer that.
Mrs. Carter may like to think that it's all just plain folks when you go to the Carters for dinner. Between us, it really isn't.
Just a typical American couple at home.
Don't you ever feel that there's something you really want to do for yourself, for Rosalynn, not for the country, not for Jimmy, not for your family? Something for you.
Well, I do. I do. I went home for a week. And I went to Camp David for a week this summer, and I swam and I read and I just did whatever I wanted to do.
How important was that?
It was very important to me. I know I've heard Jimmy say a lot of times that he has to have time. He used to say in the campaign he never had time to have an original thought. And sometimes you feel that way when you're so busy and you think, I've got to just kind of stop and see where I am and what I'm doing and who I am.
Do you ever, in your low moments, say, I wish I wasn't First Lady?
Sometimes, yes. I'll have to admit. Just before you came, I thought.
Me?
If I didn't have to do an interview with you, I could just go to bed and take a nap.